Good morning. This is KELOLAND on the go with all you need to know in news and weather as you start your day.
New this morning, crews in Sheldon, Iowa are investigating what sparked a fire south of town. Crews were called to a shop that was on fire Tuesday morning.
Authorities say it was a dangerous situation with live ammunition exploding, propane tanks venting, and the roof falling in. The fire destroyed the building along with 2 vehicles, a boat, and several shop tools. Firefighters were on scene for about 2.5 hours. Also new this morning, South Dakota's Highway Patrol is investigating a deadly crash east of Salem. The South Dakota Department of Public Safety says a car was heading west on Highway 38 just after 7 a.m.
It then crossed the center line and collided with a second car. Both drivers, a 22-year-old woman and 60-year-old man, were pronounced dead at the scene. A Sioux Falls shooting could have been much different and had a different outcome if it wasn't for a cell phone. 2 drivers were waiting at the stoplight at 6th Street and West Avenue near Colville Lake early Monday morning when one of them pulled out a gun.
Police say the driver of a black SUV reached across his passenger seat and shot at the other car. The bullet went through the door and hit the driver.
The round had struck the cell phone, causing damage to the cell phone to the point where the battery had started on fire, had ignited inside of his pocket, which started his coat on fire. He was able to put that out. The victim only suffered minor bruising as a result of this incident.
As police search for the black SUV, they're asking for your help. Call police or contact Crime Stoppers if you have any information on the shooting.
Now let's send it over to meteorologist Scott Munt for a check of this morning's weather. Not too bad today, but snow is the talk, Scott.
Yeah, snow. We'll have to watch for snow possibilities probably Thursday night going into Friday across the southern half of the area. But in the meantime today, temperatures will warm. We are going with partly cloudy skies this afternoon. Expect numbers probably into the middle 30s for an afternoon high in Sioux Falls with that southeast wind around 10 to 15 miles per hour. Aberdeen will try to warm the 30 today, melt some of the snow that's on the ground in northeastern South Dakota. In central KELOLAND, let's go with 47 for your high in Pierre. That may happen around 3 o'clock. Southeast winds of 10 to 20. And western South Dakota, middle 50s in our forecast. 54 degrees, our forecast high in Rapid City. More details on the KELOLAND Live Doppler forecast with Brian coming up.
Thanks, Scott. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem delivered a budget address in Pierre yesterday afternoon.
Child care was one of the topics she addressed. Governor Noem also talked about water projects, cybersecurity, housing, and others.
Through the use of federal funds, the Department of Social Services will use $100 million to provide grants for startup and existing daycare centers. This will allow high-quality child care facilities to open and to expand in the state, and it will also help existing registered facilities stay open and to continue to provide care.
Noem also proposed a 6% bump in pay for state workers, state aid for education, and funding to health care providers. Following her address, we got reaction from state legislators.
I was really pleased to hear the investment in teachers and healthcare workers, and I think a lot of people are going to be really happy about that, and state employees.
I was actually very impressed and pleased with the actions we're going to be taking to help the people of South Dakota.
Duba elaborated on that point, and Olson highlighted money for water.
First of all, 6% for our state employees and our medical providers and our teachers, for education. We're going to keep pace with inflation, but that is unprecedented, and I'm pleased to see that.
The water funding for many, many projects across the state is significant, and it's long overdue, and so I'm excited to see where that goes.
The legislative session begins on January 11th. And that is a look at some of our top stories.
Now let's get one last look at your weather with meteorologist Brian Karstens. Brian?
All right, weather as we look at Friday, winter storm watch now in effect for the counties shaded in yellow. That does include Pine Ridge, Hot Springs, Valentine, O'Neill, Nebraska, runs just about to Yankton, and then on up into northwest Iowa, including Sioux Center. This does not include Sioux Falls at this time, but I do expect that there will continue to be some modifications to some of these maps in both terms of watches, warnings, and advisories. So make sure you're paying attention to the forecast is the bottom line on that. Milder today, we've got 50s forecast in Rapid City, as Scott just mentioned. Sioux Falls area will try to make mid-30s later today. Let's take a look at this storm system. So in advance of that, we're actually going to see a Pacific cool front coming through with a westerly wind tomorrow. That'll actually help to warm up Sioux Falls a little bit. But then that central Rockies low pressure area coming out near Denver. Looks like that's going to scoot to the east here into Friday. And north of that low track is where we're going to get that snow band. That'll come out of western Nebraska, eastern Wyoming, and then skirting southern South Dakota. The implications on this are pretty significant, too, in terms of travel weather. Obviously, where that thickest band of snow sets up on Friday is going to really, it will be altering your plans, I'll put it that way. I think we'll have a plowable snow within this band and even some wind to go with it. A certain amount of blowing snow, probably 15 to 30 mile an hour winds with it into Friday night. Eventually, this will head into southern Minnesota. It'll include the Twin Cities on the northern end of it and into central Wisconsin during the day on Saturday. Once this leaves, then we're going to see the weather changing and improving, actually, to milder weather if you're a fan of that, as we're forecasting above normal temperatures next week. Latest analysis for Sioux Falls is 3 to 6 inches of snow, but you do see a couple of numbers popping up over 8, possibly into south central Minnesota. We'll continue to watch this snow map as we get into the forecast here. All right, temperatures today, 30s east, 50s in the west. That's a warm day. And that 7-day forecast jumps our numbers here into the 30s and 40s next week. So we're not looking at cold weather necessarily next week. In fact, I would say just the opposite. Depending on how much snow we get, that will really determine how quickly we rebound in Sioux Falls. Aberdeen, with the anticipation of lighter snow, 40s are very likely next week. So we'll be much above normal. And Pierre and Rapid City, we are thinking too, 40s and even for some locations back to the 50s next week. So winter teasing us a little bit, but not here for the long term, at least not yet. Check out details with our Storm Center update right now at KELOLAND.com.